And we are going straight into the action as XSET versus Coffin. Its winner of this series goes on to the grand face-off against Wildcard Gaming.
That's a Mistweaver. That's not a Shaman. Very interesting here. So Lontar has just been flexing the Shaman throughout this entire tournament. Mistweaver, wondering what he was anticipating in a game one. Definitely must have been a Wizard Cleave. Thought that this could be a good answer for Fire Ellie, but it's still Frost Mage, not Fire. So curious to see how this plays out. Is he ready for a team like XSET on his ult?
Well, I guess we're going to find out. I think if he played Shaman, actually, this would have been fine for them, but we're going to see the first push is happening, and Swapsy is actually getting knocked.
Void Elf? Is he Void Elf?
What? Yeah,
I swear he just Void knocked out a line and Void Elf back into midfield.
That was pretty sick by Swapsy. He was about to get dressed behind that pillar, and the Coffin then son was about to play, but Swapsy escapes, only using his Void Elf ratio right there. Tran in a fear. Target, Rezus takes a fat Chaos Bolt to the face. Lontar pre-cocoon Seduce, and Raikou is just ready to sheep. Potentially he breaks the Seduce, and they're going after Lontar. I'm not sure actually about that move. I think they could have just extended CC chain with a poly and then swapped to Lontar, but they are going to break the chain, and everyone on Confidence is looking fine.
Yeah, so far so good. The Void Elf definitely strong, especially if we see Rezus, Lontar, and Tren use the Spike Trinket. It doesn't appear they are using that, but I think that's kind of the thought process behind using that racial. And everyone's looking relatively stable. I mean, Swapsy has used his Infernal so far, but there hasn't been a huge hit of damage on Rezus or Tren. But as I say that, Lontar actually gets interrupted, and Rezus getting bursted down. Might have to be a little bit careful, not even using the Fortifying Brew, not using Diffuse Magic, just relying on his own self-healing, the Serpent Jade statue, the Renewing Mist, and it looks like Rezus should be okay, rolling out of line of sight as he's taking another huge hit. This is a great setup. The Seduce right now onto Lontar, and Rezus has just been completely isolated. Lontar does manage to use his Revival, but I feel like that Revival was kind of, I don't know, it felt like a waste. Rezus was completely safe behind the pillar, and that is an extremely long cooldown that Lontar no longer has access to.
Let's see if that does end up coming back to bite him here. Raikou getting bursted, Temporal Trades. Again, this Destro Frost Mage, a composition known for dragging these fights deep into dampening. Although I don't think they were anticipating a Mistweaver Monk from Lontar, so they're going to need to readjust their strategy, maybe get aggressive and on top of them for crowd control, but they're being pushed back quite heavily. Good recovery from Chaz throughout that onslaught from Coffin Dance. Nice Frosting over there, hitting both Rezus and Tren. Spam Fears coming in from Swapsy as well. Raikou's main goal here to just slow Rezus and Tren, trying to avoid as much damage as possible. Lontar pushing up into midfield, paralyzed leg sweep, good combo. Swapsy intercepts with a double Shadow Fury, trying to stall, but Raikou's still getting hit hard. Trinket sacrifice from Chaz here. Although those Paladin cooldowns a lot less valuable for XSET, as the Ineffable Truth will be resetting them. So I do like Chaz just anticipating the damage there and making sure that Raikou doesn't need to use an Ice Block.
Yep, a very, very nice trade. You always want to be using those Paladin cooldowns before the Mage cooldowns. And that is, of course, because the Mage is not running Ineffable Truth that can just give your cooldowns back. So we're going to see Raikou dropping on Orb, trying to get some control here in the midfield. Blessing of Freedom. Ooh, nice Hammer of Justice there onto Rezus. Gets dispelled though. A lot of damage coming out here. Trent stuck in a fear. Rezus rolling to his target. Gets feared as well. Swaps is just having a field day here on that Warlock, on that Void Elf Warlock. And now we're going to see potential here for another setup. They're looking for it. Raikou's trying to drag the melees as far away from Lontar as possible, and that is so Lontar gets CC'd in the middle of the map. And look at Swapsy, he can use Fear out of the Hodge, drop his Infernals, start lobbing out the bolts, maybe go for a Re-Fear here as well with the Spell Reflection right there. The triple DR Fear, but Raikou is nowhere near to get those sheep, so he's going to be kiting around these melees. And I gotta say, Confidence, they're doing a pretty decent job so far. They have a mana lead. They haven't really used any cooldowns themselves, but I'm not sure if dampening actually favors their composition. I don't think it does.
I would agree with that. I feel like one of the nice things about Tren and Rezus and Lontar playing the Mistweaver Monk is they have a lot of self-sustain. So, I mean, Rezus and Tren have a lot of leech healing, you know, stuff like Expel Harm from Rezus can keep them alive. And then Lontar only has to throw in a little bit of healing. In the meantime, Raikou actually getting bursted down right now, but he will be able to hold on. And as I was saying, I feel like his dampening gets higher. All of a sudden, Lontar has to open up his tree a lot more. He's susceptible to being interrupted by Swapsy, by Raikou. Rezus and Tren can't self-sustain nearly as much, and I feel like as long as XSET can hold on to their defensive cooldowns, they can just put out consistent damage, and then in dampening, I feel like that's when they really will start securing a lead in this matchup.
Swap over to Lontar. XSET not afraid to go after the healer a little bit here, and I don't think Lontar is playing Conflict, so definitely a good option to target Lontar in this game. Rezus at the moment with no Gladius Medallion is looking juicy, though, as he rolls forward onto Raikou. In prison over onto Chaz with Swapsy, just fears Tren off into the corner. Tren double fell rushing, gets feared again, not able to connect almost at all during that stun lock. Raikou blinks back into midfield, repositioning to the opposite side of Lontar, so Lontar has to move out into midfield to heal as you see Raikou blink again. They use Ring of Peace to try and knock Raikou closer. Lontar rolls out, he stuns Swapsy on his way, switching sides of the map. What's Raikou going to do? He's used both Shimmers at this point. He's kind of stuck on this side. Shadow Fury on Lontar, setting up for crowd control, not able to find the fear. Lontar sneaks out of line of sight. Leg sweep on Raikou. Potentially a big drop of damage here. Chaz gets ready. Divine Favor, Big Holy Light. Raikou bounces back into the fight. Blessing of Freedom. Raikou repositions. Gets intercepted by Tren with a double fell eruption there, but not enough damage. Rezus just got locked down in Fears and Hammer of Justice, and XSET are playing a great game, just going back and forth across the map and dragging this fight on. And anytime Lontar moves out into midfield like this, they get a fear on him. Later on in the game, potentially switch to him in a Hammer of Justice. Raikou again repositioning. Doesn't want to be on the same side of the map as Lontar. He wants to be as far away from Lontar as possible. Lontar has to move out into midfield, but he had his portal down there. He anticipated Raikou switching sides, but Raikou immediately uses the on a gateway to go to the other side. Lontar out in midfield, line of sight's the fear. Maybe wants to push in for a paralyze. Lontar's still sitting out in midfield. He pre-life cocoons, anticipating a fear. That was a nice read by Lontar. Rezus is going to take no damage, but they're just going to switch to Lontar. Infernal stun into Hodge. Beautiful punish here by XSET. Massive pressure. Isn't going to be enough. They strip off the shield. Oh, man, massive heals. Lontar almost goes down. He tried to anticipate an attempt on Rezus there. XSET punish and go after Lontar instead. And now that XSET have kind of shown that they have that potential, Lontar needs to be more careful.
Yeah, Lontar definitely needs to be extremely careful because he is a target, and it can go wrong if you try to make a read like that and decide to swap. Well, you kind of want to save that life. Ooh, big damage onto Raikou's chest. Immediately responds that with sacrifice, and now they're going after Lontar here once again. No safeguard, no life cocoon. Good night. And that's exactly what we're talking about when you are playing against Mage Lock, especially as the healer. What tends to happen is, first, your melees are chasing, really far away. You run out to follow them. You get crowd controlled. You get crowd controlled. You get crowd controlled some more, and then you get swapped to and die. But when Lontar does a preemptive life cocoon on his Windwalker, who also had his cooldowns, well, that's just a pretty free swap.
All right, that's going to be a game one victory for XSET for this series. Winner of this series goes on to the grand finals. Obviously, these teams are going to be pushing so hard for this win here, and here is the replay.
I mean, we can take a quick little look at it and see exactly what happens. You can see Lontar gets interrupted. They go for a big setup on Raikou. Luckily for Chaz, he had the Blessing of Protection, the Blessing of Sacrifice. Lontar gets swapped to. And that was just honestly a really, really clean setup. And I think that sacrifice onto Raikou just allowed him to play offensive. And they could take full advantage of that. And obviously, Lontar was caught off guard. Unfortunately, with no life cocoon, there was really not too much he could do. But I think this just shows you the flexibility of XSET. In the previous matchup they just had against Wildcard Gaming, they were forced to run the Rogue Mage, the Windwalker Mage. But Swapsy waiting in the wings, he can come in and they can play this wizard setup at such a high level. I think this is going to be a really difficult matchup for Rezus, Tren, and Lontar to pull victory from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's just going to be going into this as well. XSET, you mentioned it already, Ven. They're such a flexible team. Their composition pool is huge, especially when you compare it to the other teams in the European region. And then you look at a team like Coffin, and really all they have is this one Demon Hunter Windwalker comp. We haven't really seen Joe Fernandez play at all this season, but considering all of this, they are one win away from the grand finals, and Coffin Dance, I just feel like is holding their own so well here. But like you said, Ben, it's going to be difficult to turnaround for Coffin Dance. Zico, going into game number 2, do we feel like XSET will continue to play Mage Lock? And if they do, what do we want to see Coffin Dance do?
This is what we want. We want that map right there. And we want XSET to lock in Mage Lock again. And then we want Coffin Dance. Actually, I want XSET to lock in maybe Mage Windwalker, Holy Pala. I think if they lock in Mage Lock, they're going to lose this game. But I want to see Coffin Dance lock in. Well, I think Coffin Dance usually beats Lock Mage with the Shaman. So, I mean, the first thing, I'm going to be honest here, Lontar is just one of the best Shamans, but I haven't really seen him as somebody who multi-classes a lot. Like, I've seen him, sometimes on Druid, sometimes on Mistweaver, and, he's all right, but this is, a lower bracket final for the entire year here. This is not the time to be alting. Coffin Dance is one of those teams that, through thick and thin, they played the same composition, they played their mains, and they made it this far. I want to see them keep doing that.
All right, XSET, Chaz on the Holy Paladin, Raikou on the Frost Mage, Swapsy sticking to that Warlock here on Dollar and Sewers. Zico, you said you wanted them not to play this. How do you feel about it?
I feel like, we've seen Coffin Dance play into Mage Lock before. We've seen them against, I think it was AWC and Diablos, and they beat both times those Mage Locks. So I don't know if XSET's Mage Lock is just that much better that they're going to still be able to win, but I really feel like Coffin Dance has a legitimate chance here to win if they play just the regular comp with the Shaman Eater.
Okay, here on Dollar and Sewers, how does Mage Lock do on this map then?
I think it does okay. I think the main thing for XSET on this map, and this is something we see them do, is you just utilize the outside of the platform. So instead of playing on the very limited size platform, if you need to, you can pull off and kind of play on that grate and just run circles around the map, basically do laps and just keep dragging, keep running, forcing Coffin Dance to kind of extend. The one problem for them is I feel like Lontar is going to be in a position where he can kind of always be with his team. It's also going to be much easier for Rezus and Tren to kind of just move in and out of line of sight quickly and avoid damage, and also just immediately get back into the fight. So Coffin Dance obviously picking a great map. I think Lontar coming in on the Shaman was a really, really good idea as well. Experimenting with the Mistweaver Monk, it didn't work out that great, but can't really blame him for trying. However, like you kind of said, Zico, I just feel like this is the moment where you kind of just put it all on the line. I mean, this is their last chance for the entire year. They got to play what's best and just try to really rise to the occasion and outplay. And if they can do that, they're going to earn themselves, a spot in that finals.
Yeah, and if you guys are watching from home and you want to check out the gear that these guys are running, once again, awc.gcd.tv if you want to check that out, or there's quite a bit of information down below this video for you guys as well to enjoy. Stupid Teas, what do we feel like with either of these teams really, but mostly XSET is what I'm asking about. Do we feel like there's anything special that they want to do here, or you want to see them do in terms of gear?
Just full versatility, pretty much on everybody except Chaz, maybe a bit of versatility on Chaz, as Paladin can get tunneled down, especially with Frost Mage instead of Fire Mage. This map would be good for that. XSET are likely going to play on the bottom part of the map, so the outside, try and drag along the outside rail grade over and over and over and over. And Coffin Dance are going to try and use the boxes, obviously, on each side of the upper platform to line of sight. Coffin Dance, they've got a chance to win early with Drestigath trinkets, and then later in dampening, I think it starts to favor XSET more and more. Just the poke damage from the Frost Mage and the Rain of Fire from the Destruction Warlock just begins to overwhelm the Shaman, who eventually will have to start casting heals deeper into dampening. So XSET, it's all about surviving the Drestigath for 6 or 7 minutes, and then after that point, they start to get control.
All right, we'll see if they can pull it off here. Game number 2 on Dollar and Sewers. It's XSET versus Coffin Dance, 1-0.
All right, let's see if Coffin Dance are gonna be able to take this very important game number 2 here. If they lose this one, it's gonna be extremely hard to reverse sweep XSET 3 times on their map choices. So Coffin Dance, they really got to get something going here. You know, see if they had any changes to their build. That in last game, they were playing versatility all across the board, and it is something that they've been doing a lot against Mage Lock, but in that previous matchup. We saw a lot of pressure with those gushing wounds and that Lash of the Void. So you can see any procs come out right now. Raikou dropping the Frozen Orb, dropping the Blizzard, and you can see already the triangle formation here being put into effect here by XSET. One wizard on the right side, another one on the left side, healer in the back, and AoE, Rain of Fire, Cataclysm, Blizzard, Frozen Orb, all that good stuff. And now Infernal's being called in, triple stun, Hammer of Justice. Lontar is the target of choice here, but there's no Frozen Orb, they just reverse it. Or Infernals, they only force reverse. Now Swapsy is going to be the target of choice here. Big damage coming out. The Void Elf, Blink. Actually, no, just Demonic Circles right there. So nice talent adaptation here from Swapsy. And once again, Coffin, they did their kind of one-hit wonder. And now they're going to just kick back and chill for a second.
Wow, that demonic circle placement is actually really smart. I love that positioning, because basically what Swapsy can do is he can go to any side of this upper platform, jump off, and if Rezus and Tren chase him, then he can just port back up on the platform. It becomes really obnoxious, and you really get to utilize sort of the Z axis on this map. So I like this decision by Swapsy, and for XSET, I mean, you can just tell by their talent choices, they're going to be happy. Anytime as the mage lock, you're in this position, especially the Frost Mage, where you can essentially just drop a Blizzard, drop a Frozen Orb, everyone's just kind of pinned back and can't really move in. I feel like XSET is kind of playing into their win condition, which is deep dampening right now. Swapsy, he's in a position where if he needs to, he can portal away. Rezuf's going to be rolling over and putting on a little bit of pressure, but Freedom allows him to reposition. And so far, I'm kind of wondering what Coffin Dance is waiting for. I mean, it looks like they want to get a little bit of dampening going before they really commit on any target, but who is going to be the best target? I feel like a Destruction Warlock with the Demonic Circle, a Frost Mage backing him up is an extremely difficult target to take down, but we'll see. I mean, Coffin Dance, maybe an option for them. Definitely excited to find what they do in this match.
I also don't know if they fought a Void Elf Destruction Warlock. Just that extra mobility when they think they've got the Warlock, and then just teleports across the map. So very interesting decision here from XSET in terms of their racial selection for the Destruction Warlock, getting a bit more mobility. However, Swapsy stunned up at the pillar, not able to access. Chaz repositions, picks him up in a hurry. Lone Target's counterspelled. Raikou drops a Blizzard, and this is what I mean by the poke damage. Cataclysm on one side, Blizzard on the other. Deeper into dampening, this AoE pressure onto Coffin Dance will start to stick. The Pack Spirit for the Shaman won't heal him back up. Expel Harm won't heal back the Windwalker, and neither will the Leash Healing of the Demon Hunter. So it is kind of up to Coffin Dance to get some momentum going here. They're chasing down Raikou, but Temporal Shield, such a short cooldown, powerful effect there, will immediately recover him. Lone Tar gets stunned up on the pillar. Rezus, the target, as well as Lone Tar out in the open. 2 Ice Lances, 3 Ice Lances. Lone Tar wraps around the corner. They're trying to push Swapsy back. They interrupt Shadow Fury. They're also just trying not to stand in Rain of Fire. They use Ring of Peace. Swapsy just portals right back to midfield. That was the Dark Soul. So I'm not sure what Swapsy was hoping to get down there. There was no stun lock, so Dark Soul doesn't get too much value. Raikou gets blasted down. Chaz is going to trade Sacrifice. Not a big deal. Normally a very long cooldown, but with Ineffable Truth, probably back in 20 seconds or so. So it's almost like an Iron Bark for the Holy Paladin. I don't think Chaz is really going to regret trading Sacrifice like that. Tren getting rotted down a bit here. Swapsy is just standing on top of the enemy team right now, really unafraid at the moment. Will he regret it is the question. Leg sweep, but it looks like Swapsy just portaled away from it. So nice portal from Swapsy. They're forced to switch to Raikou. Infernal gets called in, triple stun. Chaz rolls up, hammers down. Lone Tar the target, 1 second left. Down to half, recovers. Earthen Wall Totem preemptively activated, allowing him a huge bolstering of defense, taking basically no damage. Chaz gets wind sheared, but not any real consequence here. Avenging Wrath is up, his healing is quite high. Both teams stable in this position prior to dampening. No massive leads on either side. However, these interrupts, like the spell lock on Lone Tar here, if that happens later on in the game, or a Hammer and Justice is on cooldown and they can chain it off an interrupt, that's definitely game over for Coffin Dance. So Lone Tar needs to be ready. Imprison on Chaz. They're going after Swapsy. Swapsy just portals back into midfield. I love his Demonic Circle position there. He's kind of like BM, running on top of the enemy team, like, here, hit me, I dare you. And then as soon as he's in any trouble, I'm out, I don't like this anymore. And it's making it really difficult for Coffin Dance to get anything going.
Yeah, and I don't know. You have, on one hand, the Warlock is the main target for you guys. Ooh, they might be able to take him down right here. If not, he's just going to be able to port. Swapsy actually casting here. He's out of his port range a little bit. Swapsy's still taking a decent amount of damage, but Chaz actually getting stunned up there. Now finally going to be trading out a Divine Favor. Swapsy is going to teleport away, make a nice new soul well. You can tell he's getting comfortable right now. He's stretching in his seat. He knows what's going on. He's just going to drop combat right now to reset the health stone cooldown. And since he just mounted up, we know that he dropped combat right there. So Swapsy going to have another health stone. I'm not sure if he used it there, but I'm pretty sure he did. And yeah, we're going to be back into this beautiful box here where there's just raining ice and fire over Coffin Dance.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Coffin Dance is gonna do. I feel like if they could just hold on to maybe let's think about it. I mean, there's not that much going on in the game right now, so we kind of just talk about, what is Coffin Dance gonna do, and I feel like pushing on Chaz is gonna be smart. Chaz is literally just running on top of them, which is a massive disrespect, I would say, as a paladin that's running an Ineffable Truth, running on top of a cleave, and I feel like Coffin Dance should be able to punish this. I mean, Chaz is going to be running, and he uses the gateway, but Rezus and Tren, there is an opportunity for them to continue the push. They're opting not to do it, but that kind of maneuver from Chaz is going to be really scary as the game goes later into dampening. We're at about 10% right now, but even just pushing off the pillar for a little bit, Tren, Rezus, Lontar, all just rotting down. That was the Astral Shift from Lontar. Luckily, Tren was able to hold on to his blur. Chaz just running in on top of them again. I mean, this is quite questionable. I feel like Coffin Dance, I mean, you almost feel bad if they're not able to punish that, and it doesn't look like they're going to be able to. Swapsy's going to be portaling away as well. A Hex onto Raikou, and Coffin Dance forcing XSET back once again. An interrupt now onto Lontar, not allowing him to fully reset, but I just get the feeling if Coffin Dance can hold on to, Blur, Darkness, Touch of Karma, Fortify, Diffuse Magic, Trinket Spirit Link, they might be able to make a power play on try to take him down with a huge all-in as dampening is super high. Or, I mean, if Swapsy and Raikou are just going to be pushing in this deep, go safely after the DPS and really get some pressure rolling that way.
Swapsy down at half health, sacrifice again, trades for Chaz. Oh, stun lock on Tren. Beautiful combo of crowd control here by XSET. Can they power down Tren, though? He activates Blur, he stuns them back, and he should stabilize here through the Frozen Orb, thanks to that Earthen Wall. They're actually just charging out of it onto Raikou. Raikou blinks away. Resistant Tren just hitting the closest caster. So Swapsy is closer to Lontar, so they attack him. As soon as both pull away, then they retreat back to the box, wait for a little bit deeper of dampening. It's just, I'm not certain that dampening is actually going to work out for them, especially with the mobility build that Swapsy is running. Not typically would a Warlock be able to actually get away from this composition, but with Void Elf and Demonic Circle and Gateway, I think that Swapsy can. He's stunned down, out of line of sight. They paralyze Chaz on his way in. Swapsy could use Demonic Circle if he needs to, but still refusing to, just standing on top of Coffin Dance right now. Bit BM, full hammer of justice though with a fear. Beautiful cross crowd control here by XSET. They could just close it out, Trent's not careful. Dropping darkness, but he might get unlucky as a couple flurry hits go through the fence. Trent starts to recover as Lontar's out of crowd control. Huge damage from Raikou. Lontar has to respect it with Ascendance. Goes for a chain heal, trying to fake out the interrupts. He fakes out the spell lock of Swapsy. Nice fake cast by Lontar. Good recovery. Not getting caught off guard this deep into dampening. They've played such a patient game at this point, looking for any opportunity to punish. It would be very devastating for them to not be able to get even close to victory. They lock down Raikou and Chaz. They go after Swapsy. They blast him. He's out of range of his portal. He's still out of range, caught in a stun. The Bob not looking too solid. Finally able to escape to safety in midfield. Rezus is trying to chase him down. It looks like Lontar and Coffin Dance are ready to get aggressive. Lontar gets intercepted midfield, full polymorph, hammers down on Tren. Infernal on the Trinket, beautiful timing by Swapsy. Almost Hammer of Justice on the follow-up. That Ineffable Truth gained a lot of value for Chaz there, but Blur looks like enough for Tren to survive here along with that Earthen Wall. Lontar ducking in, going for a Windshear, looking for a Hex, but no, actually just going to switch to Raikou as Swapsy gets to safety. Triple Shadow Fury, Swapsy loading up Immolates onto the entire team. And look, 30% dampening. If Coffin Dance go on this pillar, they get Blizzard and Rain of Fire like they are right now, this damage is going to start to stick.
So the strategy is wait for Swapsy to go behind the pillar, do a big push on him with a stun, force him to teleport. When he does, his port is on CD, chase him down. Unfortunately for them, they just gave XSET a free setup when that happened, and they weren't able to capitalize on anything and try not to use Trinket Darkness. So I don't know. It's not looking too good here. And look at this setup. Lontar is Nova behind the pillar, and Tren is hodged in the middle of the map. So do you dispel the Nova, but then Tren is stuck in the hodge, or do you just sit the Nova and then you're basically in CC? Like, what do you do? It feels so oppressive to even look at what's going on to these players. Tren making his way there, trying to look at him moving his slow. He's literally Michael Jackson. He's moonwalking backwards when he's trying to move forward just to press that reverse smash. The CC literally ended before he could even press it. And now Lontar is in a hammer of justice, but Tren is in that earthen wall totem, that cone of cold slow. Finally gonna fade, and it's gonna allow Coffin Dance to reposition. But I mean, at this point, I don't know what they can do really. They're gonna need a big push on either Chaz or Swapsy late into the game, and I feel like if XSET has to mess up for that to happen. So I'm really not sure. Yeah, Coffin Dance need to try to find. Oh, here we go. They're stacking up. This could be a big play here. Can they get something? They're going for Chaz here. Double Shadow Fury. Raiku's going with the polymorphs, and Tren immediately he has to use defensive metamorphosis.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, dampening is just getting so high. Lone Tower is burning through his mana, 40% dampening at this point of the game. Tren going to be trying to reconnect onto Raikou. Unfortunately, this poke damage is really starting to add up. The Blizzard, the Frozen Orb when it drops down, the Ray of Frost. Swapsy, Chaz, and Raikou are looking exceptional in this match. They have basically every single defensive cooldown available. Coffin Dance, this is it. I mean, their tournament lives are on the line. They're down right now. 0-1. They have to win 3 if they want to actually advance out of the series and make it into the grand finals. But this game is not looking good, and at some point they're going to have to make a push. But this is a very uncomfortable push for them. One Drestigath lands, but it does absolutely nothing. And Swapsy will just be portaling away, relying on the snares from Raikou. Once again, Rezus trying to make a power play, leg sweep out onto Swapsy, but still, there's just no damage, no crowd control on Chaz whatsoever. Raikou just freely casting out those frost bolts, and eventually this damage will add up. It's just a matter of time when Double Infernal Sun comes in. Damage now on a Tren with an interrupt on the Lone Tower. He immediately uses the Ascendance. This is the push where they're just trading their defensive cooldowns, trying to make a play. Let's see if they can get anything here. Swapsy is just so mobile with his gateway, with his portal, with the Void Elf racial, and it just seems like Coffin Dance was not expecting this.
And Raikou is just dishing out huge pressure, constantly keeping Coffin Dance on the back foot. They're going for it, all or nothing at 47% damage. They drop a dressing up. I think Swapsy ported it. I don't think it was able to connect. He's still very low. If they can stay on target and crowd control Chaz. Chaz goes for a big Holy Light, not too big at 50% dampening. Pre-sacrifices the Imprison, overlaps it with the Unending Resolve. This is some massive defensive overlaps from XSET. If Coffin Dance can stay alive here, they drop the Darkness, but then they jump right out of it. A little bit surprising here from Tren as he's very low on health at this point. Spirit Link, the last line here. Chaz gets stunned up. He trinkets out. Do they have any follow-up? They paralyze the trinket. They're gunning down for the kill on Swapsy. Portal's back upstairs. Beautiful portal. Tren backflips back to try and get there. Rezus can't catch up. They swap to Raikou for a moment. Line of sighting Swapsy at the same time. Rezus charges in. He's got defensives. He's ready to go after the Warlock while Tren continues to force Raikou away. They duck out of the Frozen Orb and the Blizzard. Tren recovers behind the pillar. Rezus is building momentum up on Swapsy. And I mean, in that last little push, Coffin Dance got a lot, really putting themselves back in the game. Chaz gets Ring of Peace on his heel if they've got any crowd control for him here. It could be a Divine Shield. They drop the Drestigath. Chaz, Swapsy portals back. They swap to Raikou. Raikou's still out of line of sight downstairs. Can they push forward for an Ice Block? Hammer of Justice on Tren. No Blur activated, but Rezus has Raikou on the back foot. He can't get any damage out. Tren easily survives the stun. Chaz gets interrupted. Things are finally looking good for Coffin Dance here. Raikou has to block. Chaz is imprisoned. Is he going to Divine Shield on top of this? Swapsy gets swapped to. Raikou is still down to half. Lone Tower in a fear. They reconnect on Raikou. Big Drestigath hit onto Raikou. Sacrifice trade for Chaz, but Tren still has momentum on Swapsy. It's go, go, go for Coffin Dance. This is the moment they've been waiting for. If they don't seize it right now, they'll never be able to. Look at the pressure across the board. Tren has to duck out of cover, though. He's got reverse. Just reverse the poly and go for the kill. Chaz is so low. Holy Avenger, Divine Favor. 1 second for that big heal. Gets purged on it, maybe? Avenging Wrath up. Chaz bombing a big heal. Swap over to Raikou. They need to crowd control Chaz during this Avenging Wrath. It's way too much healing. Lone Tower gets stunned up. Tren has nothing. They need a Spirit Link, I think, at this point. They're trying to hold on to it, but I don't think they can afford to be greedy. Lone Tower trinkets out Vitality Conduit and starts to recover, but XSET, that Avenging Wrath from Chaz, it's been such high value. He still has Divine Shield. Likely has to trade it here. I wouldn't even be surprised. Divine Shield. He's going to recover. And now look at the entirety of Coffin. That Spirit Link Totem does nothing. Chaz recovers, pulls the team back from the brink, and closes game 2.
That was looking really sketchy for a second on the side of XSET. Looked like Coffin may have been able to turn that around in a tie, but XSET is now up 2-0 in this best of 5 series, and that kind of was like a swift death on the side of Coffin and Super Tees.
I feel like they were just so close to winning, but Ineffable Truth was like, you know what, Chaz? We're going to help you out here. You were about to lose. Here's Avenging Wrath. There you go, buddy. And then Chaz like, thank you, Nazoth. Pops Avenging Wrath, pulls the whole team back up to full health, and Confidence like, oh no. And that's it for them. They had that little sliver of a moment. They couldn't find enough damage in that window, and now XSET moved to match point.
Yeah, I hear anything about match results.
Well,
that's a lot of damage.
Yeah, I mean, both Swapsy and Raikou are able to put out a lot of damage. They're basically just AoEing, like Mythic Plus trash for most of the game when they're hiding behind the box like that. So it's a lot of padded damage. I don't know if we can take too much away from the overall damage meters, but you can see the kind of crowd control they're dealing with. Actually, Trent initiated a lot of crowd control as well. Those AoE crowd controls kind of pad the pad stuff like Shadow Fury, Chaos Nova, things like that. Dragon's Breath really add up those CC inflicted, but yeah, lots of crowd control going out for both these teams. Really scary moment for XSET, but I think Super T said it beautifully. I mean, Chaz just got so much value from his Avenging Wrath. He still had a Divine Shield, and Coffin Dance is only so long you can withstand that Mage Lock punishment. And at this point, with Spirit Link being down, Trend just, unfortunately, there's nothing more he could do with the Fear over on the Lone Tar, and XSET just slowly secured that lead. But there was a point in that game where you kind of got the feeling that Coffin Dance might be able to win it, or they were actually advantaged at that point. So it wasn't looking too bad for them. XSET, though, they're going to be feeling very comfortable being up 2-0 in this matchup. They have a lot of big maps they can work with, but Coffin Dance likely going to try the same thing again and just hope it goes a little bit more in their favor.
Yeah, and now it's going to be Coffin Dance's map choice again here. XSET only need to win this next game if they want to move into the lower, or the grand finals, face off again once again against Wildcard Gaming, and they can just taste victory. It's so close for them, but Coffin Dance holding strong here, not ready to go home just yet. We're going to be going to Hook Point. XSET now will be choosing their composition pretty shortly here, and it sounds like you don't really want either of these teams to change their strategy, Ven, but the Super T is really, what is there left to do on the side of Coffin Dance? It seems like those first 2 games were played pretty well, and like kind of up to the standard that we're used to seeing Coffin Dance play at.
Yeah, I don't think there's any. It was actually XSET where I thought that they kind of made a mistake, where they overlapped on ending Resolve and a Sacrifice. I thought they were going to lose because of that, but Ineffable Truth is pretty good, so Chad's got his cooldowns back. That there wasn't too much time to punish that. Whereas Coffin Dance, they just, what happened, I explained at the start of the game, Deputy gets higher and higher, and then all that little poke damage that the Frost Mage is doing, Raikou is just like tickling everybody, but eventually, you know, if you tickle someone for 15 minutes, it starts to hurt, and then it really sticks in at 60% healing reduction, and Lone Tar can't really recover at that point, so everybody's just dying. It's just very slow and painful tickle death.
I don't know, but 15-minute tickles start to hurt. What kind of tickles, man, are you talking about? Like,
you never got tickled for 15 minutes? I feel like that would hurt after 15 minutes.
I feel like there's dampening with tickling. You know, eventually it just kind of wears off a bit. Yeah, there's a DR. That's a better way of putting it. Like you don't. Yeah, there definitely is a DR with tickling. You don't just have maximum feeling. Whatever.
Let's just.
This is a weird conversation.
Okay. You know. I'm actually wondering how this map is going to work out. Did Chaz actually drink in the last map? I feel like he didn't, right? It's like I feel like Hook Point. Sometimes I feel like Hook Point has I like to call it the Goldilocks problem. Like, it's almost too small. The pillars are too small. You know, it's not the right size like Dalaran Sewers. So I feel like as a Frost Mage, it's really fun to Blizzard and Frozen Orb, 3 people stacking up behind a Hook Point pillar, just because it's really difficult to avoid the damage, and you are going to get poked. So Coffin Dance, I feel like they're actually going to have to play off the pillar in this match. I mean, if they can play off the pillar, it won't be too bad, but yeah.
Can we measure the boxes on Dalaran and then the pillars on Hook Point? Because I actually want to know what size they are. Like, is it actually smaller?
How do you measure in game?
I don't know.
Like
you get a ruler. You can get a ruler and put it on your screen, and then
measure it by knots. in terms of how long it takes you to like slash walk across the pillar. Boom.
Measure it and how many gnomes you can stack around each like side.
Here you go. That's
What's
a good
the
one.
gnomage on this pillar?
I think this one would fit probably 8 gnomes.
What?
8
What?
gnomes.
On the
Only
preview
8
right now?
gnomes? Only
On one
8
side.
gnomes.
How many
Oh,
on
gnomes
one
is
side.
how
Like
many
the whole
gnomes
pillar.
is
Yeah,
Tolvaron?
32 gnomes is the whole
So
pillar.
32 gnomes.
Oh my
I
god.
think so, yeah. I think you literally need a raid full of gnomes.
Which because you know they have some really tall hairstyles. Which is like a normal like a bald head. No,
No,
bald
no,
headed
no,
no.
I'm just counting
Not
the
laying
distance.
down.
I'm not counting the height.
Oh, I thought we were doing the width. Okay.
No.
I mean, still have to differentiate between the different hairs. Anyways, it's game number 3. XSET versus Coffin Dance. Winner of this series moves on to the grand finals.
Well, you can tell XSET want their rematch, but Coffin Dance aren't going to go down without a fight. They were so close to victory in that last game, and they should be able to pull off, I think, at least one win here against XSET on hook point. Let's see if they can keep up their defense. Lone Star's playing a lot more aggressively. Wind Shear Hex on Raikou, triple crowd control. They're going right for Swapsy. Big dressed hits here. Swapsy ports, Chaz Trinket sacrifices, and yeah, Coffin Dance are unfazed. Despite being on match point against the reigning world champions, they go all out, but are they going to regret it? Rezus immediately feels the pain of that push, having to trade both Fortifying Brew and Touch of Karma. Good response by XSET.
I'm pretty sure we're seeing Coffin Dance go back to the good old gushing slappers, and we can see Swapsy is feeling the pain. Touch of Death is active. Chaz, it's time to press the bop, buddy. And there it is. He's going to use the wings, actually, and the Vitality Conduit. He's going to save the bop. Iranka just blocked there to land a full sheet. Rezus Vitality using the magic right there. Chaz looking for the Hammer of Justice, secures it. Rezus playing Relentless. Another sheep onto Lontar. Didn't have a fear. Last sheep coming out. Trent trades the darkness here, and Rezus has 0 cooldowns left in his entire spellbook, and he's still taking so much damage. Flying Serpent kicks to Lontar, gets the Trinket link, and now he's going back to Swapsy. Swapsy immediately takes the portal out of there. Lontar still hasn't left CC since Raikou blocked about a minute ago, and now finally he's playing his character. And Coffin Dance, I think it's time to line of sight for at least 2 minutes until like you have something in your spellbook again.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, that's what they kind of need to do. Just play it safe. Lontar actually getting interrupted. Raikou with some good poke damage. They're actually going after Raikou. If they could get the second ice block, that would be big, but I'm going to be honest, I don't have much faith that they're going to be able to do that. We shall see. I mean, Raikou is playing a ton of versatility in this matchup. Goodbye. Okay, well, I was wrong. That was definitely a down goes moment, and Raikou gets absolutely destroyed. I don't think Coffin Dance was really, or I don't think XSET was really prepared for that.
Headshot, that'll do it.
Yeah,
That was
absolutely.
so great. All right, well, Coffin Dance being able to shut it down, and how short was that? Like 2 minutes? Not even?
Yeah, I mean, you can either wait at the pillar 2 minutes and get your cooldowns back, or you can just go and dress Raikou, I guess, from 80%.
All right, well,
When
Coffin
in
Dance winning
doubt.
game number 3 here, Sid.
Both teams, getting a blessing from N'Zoth and Nyalotha here. In game 3, Coffin Dance gets some massive crits on their Dress to Gas, seemingly out of nowhere. Erase Raikou. I feel like that Coffin Dance finally are kind of realizing, like, early game, they need to be the aggressors. Like, deeper in damage, they're just going to get poked down, rotted down. They have to play aggressive,
Watch
take
this.
some risks, and
It's
right
full
here,
HP.
3, 2, doop, doop. Chaz is just like,
Look at
wait,
his-
what? Like,
There's just smoke on the ground and Raikou's corpse.
I'm pretty sure Raikou temporal shield too. They literally, like, their decision making there was, okay, Raikou's full health, he uses temporal shield, kill him anyways. Like, what? I can't believe that worked. That must have been double crits. And also, Trent was playing Reaping Flames as a major, so popping that Reaping Flame Drestagath macro at the same time. They probably did a pull timer / pull 3, 2, 1 to have all that damage land, and I mean, you can pull out a win that way, and that's the kind of risk we need to see Coffin Dance take if they want to sort of come back in this series and actually pull out a win. And it's definitely possible, but it's not going to be easy on the big maps.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be XSET's map choice here, and is that even going to be that strategy that we saw, that moment, that setup that we saw from Hook Point? Is that going to be something they could even do on a larger map? Suchius?
I mean, I think they can. They've won. I feel like they've won with aggression against Mage Lock. Every time they lose to Mage Lock is when they try and turtle too much. So, like, this is the one instance where I think they're making the correct choice. The nice part in this Wizard Cleave composition is I think Trend can actually get away with not playing Conflict and Strife, because it's not the Ellie Shaman where they get triple stuns and Trend's alone and needs Conflict in the stun. Usually someone else is not in crowd control and can kind of help him. So, and it's not nearly as threatening, I think, with Frost Mage than Elemental Shaman. So Trend going for more offense made a lot of sense. And we see that with him changing his build. Same thing with Rezus. So now if I'm Raikou, I'm wondering if they're even considering changing to Mistweaver Fire Ellie. Because we saw the previous series with Wildcard go so heavily in favor with that composition. So they could make that choice if they wanted to. Swapsy obviously is great at Ellie. You get Raikou in on fire. Chaz just flips over to Mistweaver. Chaz plays every healer in the game. I have no doubt that he'd be able to handle it. I kind of would like them to do that here. It would totally throw Coffin. They're probably all thinking like Mage Lock. We know how to beat Mage Lock. Mage Lock strategy. And the next set's like, nope. But never mind. They're not going to. They're just going to stay. I think Coffin Dance might. I feel like they're going to at least take us to a game 5 if they keep playing like this and the builds like this.
What do you think, Zico Ven? Is this going to go to a game 5?
I want to see. You know what I want to see? I want to see Rezus do something we don't see no Windwalkers do, which is take off Conflict and Strife as your major and put on Reaping Flames and just literally do the pull timer, double reaping, double dressed, jungle cleave style, coming in from Coffin Dance. And I think they can go after Raikou, they can go after Swapsy with that, and try to just do something unexpected in this matchup. Because I feel like if we see it kind of play out, same old, I think Coffin Dance is going to be a little bit too predictable for XSET. I'm sure they've played this matchup so many times. So I would like to see them spice it up a little bit. Rezus, I think it's super unlikely it happens. If he did play Breath of the Dying as his major, I would be super stoked to see that. But yeah, I think just these big bursts, unexpected one-shots coming in from Coffin Dance, and just hope that it works that they're going to end up winning this game, because on the large map there's so much room to move around, and I think if they play it too slow, XSET will just slowly but surely pull out a lead and then a victory in this match.
Yeah, and this is Mage Lock on Tolvaran Arena, something we're very used to seeing here this season. Coffin Dance certainly coming into the series as the underdog, but they are certainly holding their own here in this tournament so far. XSET now kind of in an advantageous spot for them, Zico. I just feel like this is going to be a super difficult game on the side of Coffin Dance. What advantages does this bring to that Mage Lock composition? Why is this something that we see so often?
Just a really solid map. You got the Frost Mage. I think one of the biggest things is that Coffin Dance, they don't, aside maybe from Ride the Wind, they don't really have like a slow removal. So the Frost Mage is just gonna have a great time, and they also don't have double dispel. So if you're getting pressure, Frost Mage is not really a great target for the most part. He's just gonna be able to sheep the DPS, slow them down, and then when they're trying to retreat, he's gonna keep them very slow, and that's gonna allow Swapsy to do what he needs to do. And it's basically a brick wall, If you're standing behind a pillar for too long, you're gonna lose. If you go out in the open, you're gonna get cross crowd control, most likely lose as well. And the way you win if you're Coffin Dance is doing what we saw in the last game, which is connect to a target, get a decent amount of uptime, and then double dressed and Prayton is off. But it's extremely tough to do on this map because of all the distance.
It's going to be hard for sure, but Coffin Dance has surprised us before. XSET going into this 2-1. They only need to win this next game if they want to move back into that grand finals position and rematch against Wildcard Gaming. It's XSET versus Coffin Dance, 2-1 on Tolvaran Arena.
All right, here we go. XSET, they really want that rematch here. Coffin Dance, switch gears, go offense, and put a point on the board. But on Tolvaran Arena, the most advantageous map to Wizards, will they be able to have enough offense to push on through and find a kill? Swapsy setting up in midfield with Demonic Gateway and Demonic Circle so he can push forward with his team and then escape to safety if he needs to. Blizzard on the right side of the pillar here. Raikou just getting Frostbolts for free on Lone Tar, although Pack Spirit should heal Lone Tar up to that damage pretty easily. Not going to be going down to those Frost Mage tickle attacks too early on. Raikou stunned stunned up. Coffin Dance, they're making a move here. Swapsy intercepts. Raikou blinks to safety. Frozen Orb pins them. Now they're trying to retreat back, but Tren got left behind a bit there. Fell Rush, eventual retreat. Coffin Dance back to the pillar, waiting for that Frozen Orb to fade. Likely before making another push, waiting for those stun diminishing returns. Swapsy pincering on the right. Raikou moving down the left. Chaz moves up. Hammer of Justice. They spell steal off the Ghost Wolf. They're looking to push Lone Tar over. How much damage do they have? Chaos Bolt in on the right. Raikou's Blizzard pinning the entire team on the corner here. Rezus and Tren, they're forced to push out onto Raikou. They need crowd control on Chaz, but look at the positioning. Chaz is so far away. Tren's moving so slow. Look at him RP walking, basically. He's trying to get back to the pillars. There's no way they're going to reconnect, and they're just getting blasted.
Excuse you, Sid. It's called moonwalking from now on, okay? And we're going to see...
What? It's not moonwalking. It's
I wasn't
RP.
paying attention last game. All right, well, Swapsy in a stun. He gets a Ring of Peace behind the pillar. Gets kicked. He's actually taking a decent amount of damage here. Sacrifice coming out from Chaz. Chaz is just throwing out Sacrifice on 70% HP now. He's like, nah, we're not having no accidents here with the dressed. Swapsy's gonna resummon his little Fell Hunter, and once again, we're going back to the triple triangle wizard formation. You can see Lontar and Rezus and Tran just moving around the pillar. Anytime Swapsy pokes in, they're gonna go and do a setup onto him. Nice imprisonment. There's no sack here. This could be a big setup. Touch of Death is active. Chaz trinketing out. Blessing of Protection will trade. So Coffin Dance now once again, they're gonna go back behind the pillar. If something comes in, they're gonna pounce on it. If nothing comes in, they're gonna dodge all the poke damage. Wait for their next, imprisonment. Wait for that next big damage push they have, and then they're gonna go in with that. And now, Raikou blinks back. Rezus blinks back as well. All right.
All right, there it is. And once again, behind the pillar, we're about 2.5 minutes away from dampening kicking in. And Rezus, unfortunately, will not be playing the Reaping Flames Major. Super sad to see that, but let's see if they have the damage to take down Swapsy right now. There is a Paralyze onto Chaz. He gets a Hammer of Justice onto Lone Tar. Who are they actually going after? Little bit of damage on Lone Tar, but it looks like they're just going to polymorph him up. And Rezus and Tren immediately going to be hiding. Swapsy loads up one Chaos Bolt into an Infernal. They're trying to just one-shot Lone Tar into a Hammer of Justice. Big flurry combo coming in from Raikou. The Astral Shift should be enough for him to survive. That was a nice setup coming in from XSET. Kind of just capitalizing on anyone from Coffin Dance that's out of position. And that's one of the nice things about Mage Lock is everyone is a good target for you. You can go after the Demon Hunter, you can go after the Windwalker, you can go after the Shaman. So all three members of Coffin Dance defensively, and according to their position, they have to be very safe. Now you can see they're actually making a push here onto Raikou. He's going to be careful. One Drastic Avalanche, two Drastic Avalanche. Raikou playing a little bit greedy. Sacrifice and Temporal Shield comes in, but I mean, if those had been crits, we might have been seeing a repeat of game number 3. So definitely have to be very scared of those big one-shots with the Drastic Ath Trinket. So XSET, they managed to survive one, but they have to keep doing that. They have to keep surviving as this game goes on.
I mean, they're going to need like 40% dampening at least here for those poke frozen orbs to start having their damage stick. The Windwalker, Shaman, Demon Hunter just so easily recovers through poke damage that they're going to need some deep dampening. Swapsy tries to snipe a Shadow Fury. The entirety of Coffin Dance dodge it. They push out onto Raikou. Lone Tar's in position maybe to land a Windshare. Windshare Swapsy instead. Rezus rolls over to the Warlock. Double stun. Nice punish here by Tren, but Raikou just polymorphing up targets, trying to stall out the push here. Now a stun onto Rezus, punishing the Dispel. Big power play here. Lone Tar drops down that earthen wall, protecting Rezus in the stun. Swapsy Demonic Gateways. Rezus swaps over to Raikou. I love the swaps from Coffin Dance, always attacking the closest wizard, and then when they push both Raikou and Swapsy away, they retreat back to the pillar. I think if they can keep executing on this strategy, it's going to be a winning one for sure. Raikou in on the right, Swapsy in on the left behind the pillar here. Frozen Orb Blizzard, they jump onto Swapsy out of the Frozen Orb, immediately pouncing. Chaz has Avenging Wrath, so unlikely to get too much damage onto and XSET, unfortunately. Lone Tar trying to recover behind the pillar here. Not open up his spell school because Counterspell and Spell Lock are currently available, so getting interrupted could be devastating. Chaz just getting lights, grace stacks with these holy lights. Rezu's taking quite a beating here. Oh, nice punish there on that fear. Triple crowd control, but Rezu's not taking too much damage. Polymorph now onto Lone Tar. Reverse is available. Tren needs to get to Lone Tar to land it, though. He's rooted right now. He can't get in range. Fortunately, the Polymorph ends prematurely. Now they jump onto Raikou with the Fell Eruption, I-Beam. Nice combo. Paralyze on Chaz. Can they purge off the Divine Favor? Lone Tar not looking for it. Looks like Trend and Lone Tar were able to finally purge it off, but Raiku's already blinked to safety. They likely should go after Swapsy here. Swapsy's on the pillar. They're leaving him open right now. Chaz gets wind sheared. Confidence are getting cheeky, trying to maybe clutch out a Drestigath, but they're not able to stay on target. Now Lone Tar gets swapped to. I love the Shaman swaps from XSET. Every time they cross out in the midfield, punishing Lone Tar and switching to him is a great play. Now dampening at 5%. And the thing is, this is just only going to get worse and worse for Coffin Dance.
Yep, Coffin Dance definitely standing on their last legs in the series here. If they lose, they are going to be eliminated from the competition. This is a lower bracket match. They are on match point, and they are facing one of the European Titans, reigning BlizzCon champion, in a counter matchup on the worst map in the pool. Look at Chaz sitting down for a drink, you know, just chilling. Lonta actually as well trying to sit down for a drink, but Raikou snipes him with that Pet Nova, and now they're going after Raikou here. Let's see what they can get done. Imprisonment comes out. Stuns are coming out. Dressed, potentially. Nope. Trinket from Chaz. No sacrifice yet, though. Raikou's going to gate here to safety. He gets paralyzed here onto Chaz, onto that Divine Favor. He gets purged off here. And Trent actually, whoa! Big hit there onto Rezus. Uses the Karma and immediately ports out, predicting that the Blessing of Protection is going to be used. Lontar pre-Ghost Wolves the swap here, which is going to allow him to live, because that Ghost Wolf is going to be healing him, of course. And now we got Rezus on one side, Lontar on the other side, and Tren basically soaking up the damage in the middle here with his blur. And they need to get back to the same side. They do. Rezus is low though, and Lontar's in a sheep. Tren doesn't have blur anymore. He gets the reverse magic, and now Lontar could be an exposed target. If they get another,
hammer into hammer.
Yep.
Oh, that's a lot of hammers. Lone Tar manages to hold on. He's actually playing the safeguard trinket, so kind of realizing maybe he just gets one shot by these setups. Chaz really getting a little bit lucky there, getting the double stun onto Lone Tar. They're able to get a lot of pressure. And we'll see. I mean, Rezus, once again, he gets interrupted. He almost has a diffused magic and his Touch of Karma rotating back up. That's going to give him an opportunity, but 16% dampening. As dampening gets higher and higher, it becomes more and more difficult for Coffin Dance to really get anything rolling. Let's see. I mean, do they have the Drestigath trinkets available? Can they actually get on target? Just look at Rezus. He just snared. He's just rooted. He finally is able to Swapsy. Let's see what he can get done. Maybe Swapsy just gates away, and he does. Commits all of his mobility. And now with Swapsy gating away, you're just kind of pinned. And that is the big problem when you play against Swapsy, who can kind of root you with his Conflag, and you have Raikou snaring you up. You are limited on your mobility, but they're going for it. Tar a little bit low right now, but they're going for a big hit here onto Swapsy. Manages to get away with his Void Elf Racial. Fear now over onto Rezu. And the mobility isn't over yet, but neither is the damage. When Drestigath lands and Lone Tar in the middle of the map, he gets caught into a Polymorph. It gets reversed there by Tren. Hammer of Justice now into Lone Tar. They make a swap over onto Chaz. Just big sacrifice damage going out onto him. So both teams exchanging blows, but Coffin Dance, if they stay in the open for too long, it becomes really risky. And I think Lone Tar kind of realizing he's going to get hit hard, retreats back to the pillar.
Yeah, those tickle attacks from Raikou, they're starting to get painful here at 23% dampening. Lone Tar can't just recover with only the Ghost Wolf. The self-sustainability of the Windwalker is starting to wane as well. It's going to get tougher and tougher here for Coffin Dance. They need to try and close this game out soon. They're pushing for it right here and now, but Avenging Wrath is up. Do they have crowd control for it? Divine Favor, is there a purge? No, there isn't. Immediate recovery. Lone Tar's out in midfield getting blasted. Drops the Earthen Wall, drops the Astral Shift. He's trying to tank damage for his teammates so they can stay on target. Lone Tar going all out here. Raikou can't force him away just yet. The Earthen Wall subsides. They purge off the Ghost Wolf. Lone Tar has to respect that and Trinket. Huge hit by Raikou. Lone Tar might get soloed by Raikou here on match point. Ducking around the corner, his entire team crowd-controlled fears. Polymorphs, they're unable to get any sort of connection here on Tolvaron Arena. This might be a checkmate position. They punish, they land the poly. Trent needs the reverse. He ducks in. He doesn't go for the reverse? Why is he not going for the reverse? Trying to hold it maybe for later. Karma trades here. No bop. Windshear onto Chaz. Raikou the target. Where are those Drestigath? Swapsy the target. Where are those Drestigath? Swapsy's down to half. They land a double crit. It could be KO. Metamorphosis. Trent's ramping up. There's one dress. They bop it. Chaz immediately saw that coming. That they purge the bop off. Is there a follow-up? They paralyze. Rezus is still falling behind. Infernal Stun. Is there Hammer? Hammer of Justice. Infernals. Huge pressure. Frozen Orb. They purge off the Ghost Wolf. Raikou is tearing into both Rezus and Lone Tar and Tren right now, just having an absolute field day. How is Lone Tar going to recover from this? Is he going to trade the Spirit Link? I mean, he needs to do